Yeah, Sandhya.
Welcome you all to the weekly meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras. All eyes to the head table, please.
Good afternoon. This Rotary meeting for this year, the 40th meeting for the Rotary Club of Madras is now called to order. Before we get started, I have a very sad announcement to make. A member of our club, Vivek Parachur, Rotarian Vivek Parachur, lost his father yesterday. May I request a moment's silence to condole his passing. Thank you. I would now like to present our four-way test. This signifies the ethos we as Rotarians are expected to encourage and foster. Sandhya, may I have you play the four-way test, please?
Rajesh.
I'm sorry, Rajesh.
Before tested, the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build better goodwill and relationships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These four guiding principles are for all of us Rotarians the bedrock of how we conduct ourselves, build our relationships, our businesses. The core ethics of the four-way test reflect on everything that we do, the words we speak, the acts we do, and even the way we think. The four-way test is a discipline that forms the very core of our dharma. The four tested too has its dharma. Here too, truth and correctness are the core principles that affect how larger society thinks and functions. Goodwill and relationships for the fourth tested are larger with society as a whole as well as with every individual in society. Truth and fairness again drive this relationship. We Rotarians are proud of our four-way test and what it means to us. We should be prouder that its tenets extend to all others as well and in every aspect of life, if only one can see it. Simply put, it just means that we are true to ourselves in what we do the right thing by others, and work according to our innermost intuitions to do what is right and correct by all. Bring these four principles together into one strength, and here we are, closer, tighter, and walking together towards a greater common good.
Thank you, Sandhya. Before we get started again, we would like to present to you a short video that will give you an overview of RCM's more recent initiatives that we take in service to society. May we have the RCM team played?
Yeah.
Just
There comes a time when we make a certain call, when Rotary will come together as one. The world is suffering so bad, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. Respect, collaborate, and motivate day by day. so that RCM will soon make a change. Oh, we are all a part of the RCM family, building healthy livelihoods for all in need. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving, fighting polio and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, Rotary and me. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones to make a better day. So let's start giving, fighting polio and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, just Rotary and me. Come on, sing with me. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving, fighting polio, and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, Rotary and me.
Thank you. We are truly privileged to have with us today an individual and personality who is in many ways a larger than life figure in India. You may love him or prefer not to hear him, but he certainly arouses the curiosity in all of us as to what is he going to rake up next. Welcome, Arnab, and thank you so much for taking the time and making this afternoon possible. I would also like to welcome our honorary member, Mohan Parasaran, who has joined us. Lovely to have you with us, Mohan. Several Rotarians from all over the country and from the city of Chennai. Our ladies, spouses, honorary members, and guests. I would now like to hand over the proceedings to our MC, Gopal Ratnam. Gopalji.
Yeah. Thank you, President. Goswami is an Indian title and surname. In Sanskrit, it means Lord of the Senses or Lord of Cows. We have Goswami Tulsidas, saint and poet, author of Ramcharitamanas. People have in India have read more this book than the original Valmiki or Kambaramayana is confined to Tamil Nadu. Gopalakrishna Goswami, principal disciple of Chaitanya Maharaj. Abhishek Goswami, cricketer. Amar Goswami, Hindi fiction writer. Amit Goswami, a physicist. Omkar Goswami, an economist. Jitendra Goswami, a scientist. Anil, Home Secretary, a bureaucrat. Anjali, why to leave the ladies? Professor of Paleobiology at the University College of London, and Arnab. How do I describe him? Television journalist? I don't know. I mean, it's a personality. Very honestly, people will not easily be in a position to describe. You love him, hate him, but you can't ignore him. This is a normal thing that's said about any individual when you are introducing. I recollect an incident in early 90s when I requested late Sri A.B. Vajpayee to address Rotary District Assembly in Delhi. A crowd of 1,000 people under the leadership of an incoming governor. He agreed, he came, and through the program, when it started until his slot came, he took 45 minutes of Rotary rituals. And how he started was, well, I am normally used to talking, others listening. Today I have learned something of others talking, me listening. Probably, Arnab, you are going to have that experience. We are going to question you. Probably you will have to scratch your head to answer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us a personality, and today a red letter day for Rotary Club of Madras. Thank you, Mohan, and may I request Ganesh Anantamurthy to.
Secretary's announcement, please.
Sorry,
Secretary's announcement.
pardon me. I think looking at and awaiting Arnab, I'm getting confused. He never gets confused. His audience get confused. Here, the audience is obviously confused. Prasad, word to you.
Thank you very much, and indeed a very, very warm welcome to Arnabji for being with us today. It is my pleasure to make announcements of the birthdays and anniversary for the coming week. On 10th April, we have Rotarian A.K. Tareen celebrating his birthday. On 12th April, it is yours truly, and because of that, I announce a sunshine of 5,000 rupees. Spouses celebrating birthday, we have spouse Siddharth Krishnamurthy, husband of Rotarian Nilufar Sheth, celebrating on the same day as 12th April. We have two wedding anniversaries. On 8th April, we have Rotarian Srinivas Garapati and Jyotsna celebrating their anniversary. And on 12th April, we have Rotarian Dr. B. Ramachandran and Dr. Priya celebrating their wedding anniversary. I was requested by President to continue the announcement of next week as well as one announcement. So our next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 13th April in the evening. It's a very, very important, significant meeting because we have AIMS Director, Dr. Randeep Guleria, who was among the first Indians to get vaccinated in a move aimed to inspiring confidence about the safety and efficacy of the vaccines being rolled out. He will be talking to us about the vaccines, and he will be joined by our Health Secretary, Dr. Radhakrishnan. More details of the program will be shared by me during the week. I have one pleasant announcement to make. The Madras players will be directing short plays to be held on 15th June on Zoom. If any of our Rotarians are interested to take part, please contact Shan via her WhatsApp number, which I will share. Auditions are tomorrow, Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Zoom, and the second round on Saturday at 8 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prasad. May I request now Rotarian Ganesh Anantakrishnan to formally introduce Arnab.
Thank you, Gopalji. A very good afternoon to our chief guest and speaker, Shri Arnab Goswami, and our fellow Rotarians and guests. I got a call from past President Rotarian Shri Gopal Ratnam day before yesterday, and he said that I should introduce Shri Arnab Goswami. I told Gopalji that it's not an easy task to introduce a person of such high stature. But Gopalji gave me no choice, and he just said, "You're doing it." After he hung up, I was a little dazed for a few minutes, just thinking to myself if I should call back Gopalji and tell him that I don't want to do this, because Arnab needs no introduction, and to try and introduce him could end up as a redundant exercise and a joke on me. Then suddenly a thought struck me. I felt I should not miss this opportunity to introduce Arnab, because I realized that I will create history by being the first person in the annals of journalistic history to speak in front of Arnab for 3 or more minutes, uninterrupted and not interrogated by him, and come out unscathed. Thank you, Gopalji, for this honor. Shri Arnab, it is indeed a privilege for me to do this introduction, and I have gathered information from 2 sources. One was, of course, Shri Gopalji, and the other, a little bit of Google search. Any factual errors are purely to the account of both these sources. Arnab was born in the year 1973 in Assam to Sri Manoranjan Goswami and Srimati Suprabha Gain Goswami. His father served in the Indian Army for 30 years and retired as a colonel. His mother is an author. Arnab has a bachelor's degree in sociology from Hindu College in Delhi University and has a master's degree in social anthropology from St. Anthony's College in Oxford University. He was a visiting fellow at the Sydney Sussex College, University of Cambridge. He started his career in 1995 with the Telegraph in Kolkata as a journalist. He then moved on to NDTV in 1996 and served there for 10 years. In 2004, he won the award for the best news anchor of Asia. Post his NDTV stint, he joined Times Now as the editor-in-chief in 2006. Some of the programs anchored by Arnab in different channels include News Tonight, The News Hour, Frankly Speaking with Arnab. He has featured notable personalities on his various shows that include the Dalai Lama, former UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown, Afghanistan President Hamid Karzai, former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and he was also the first news anchor to interview our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi when he first took office in 2014. Currently, Mr. Arnab Goswami is the Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief of Republic Media Network, which he launched in 2017, which beams to over 300 million viewers across the country in English, Hindi, and Bangla. Republic TV has been #1 in terms of viewership every week on the trot since its launch. The channel's viewership is more than all other English news channels put together, indicating a resounding audience connect pan-India. Republic Bharat, Arnab Goswami's Hindi channel, was launched in February 2019, has gone on to become the #1 Hindi channel across India. Mr. Goswami has this month launched Republic Bangla, which has already become one of the largest news organizations in West Bengal. Republic on Digital has more readership than most of the highest circulated newspapers in India. With the resolve to always put India and Indians first, Arnab Goswami has used his fierce belief in the power of Indian journalism and ensured to break the news by breaking the silence, and has broken the established mold. Thereby, it has resulted in a new news wave in India across all languages. He is also the current president of the governing board of the News Broadcasters Federation. He is married to Samyabrata Ray Goswami, who is also a journalist, and they're blessed with a son. Given his relentless pursuit for investigative journalism, people either love Arnab or love to hate him. Rotarians, I present to you Sri Arnab Goswami.
Thank you, Ganesh. Arnab, there is no vacuum in my newsroom. That's your title. But there is lot of vacuum in my brain. You can fill it up. On to you, Arnab.
Thank you.
Floor is to you.
Thank you, Gopal Ratnamji. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ganesh, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to all senior Rotarians and also to Mr. Mohan Parasaran. I can't see you on the screen right now, sir, but I'm told you're here. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity of speaking to you. And I must tell you that you have committed the cardinal sin of giving me such a long introduction and then not giving me a time limit. So I can assure you I can go on forever.
You are most welcome.
I'm also wondering whether Ganesh was being polite or strategic. When he mentioned the number of notable people I've interviewed, he did not mention anyone from the Gandhi Vadra family. I think I will ask him later whether that was a deliberate slide. Well, when Ganesh called me and he said that we want you to speak to us, and we were wondering when we will schedule this, and then eventually we settled on a weekday afternoon. So I've either done something right or wrong by being invited on a weekday afternoon, and I hope I don't put you to sleep. He then told me you must choose a subject of your discussion. I think I'll just make it personal and talk about my limited experience. First of all, it's a great honor to be invited by your 92-year-old institution. I've heard a lot about it. Chennai is close to my heart. I don't know if you're aware, but when we launched the Republic Media Network, I was going around making speeches everywhere because we didn't have enough money for marketing. And one of my first public introductions was in an auditorium in Chennai. And it was overflowing. I was overwhelmed. My old colleague Sanjay Pinto was interviewing me on stage, and then I spoke. And then when I left the auditorium, people came after me. We went, we spoke, and then people were driving with me. They were waving to me. I got so much love in Chennai. So I reciprocated. When we launched Republic TV, the first, I assumed that people would want to have me back after not being on air for 6 months. So the first advertisement ever in the history of the Republic Media Network were 5 bus shelters in Chennai, where we wrote Mindam Arnab. I don't know what it meant, but it's the first advertisement of the Republic Media Network was in Tamil, and it was in Chennai. And I don't know why we did it. It was just our way of saying thank you to the people of Chennai. We just felt so much warmth when we came to Chennai, so much love. So we said Mindam Arnab. When I asked, what does Mindam Arnab mean? Something they said that, oh, Arnab is back, or once again, or something like that. I said, I don't know, it might have an opposite effect. We said, anyway, let's give it a shot. And so my association with Chennai is very, very deep and very personal. I look forward to meeting you people in a non-virtual world in the future. Now, we'll make it interactive today. I will speak for a while, and then we'll invite interactions. Shall we do that?
Yeah.
And I don't want to give a speech because I give a speech anyway. It's one-way traffic for 2 hours every night. And now I speak for 1 hour in Bengali, 1 hour in Hindi, 2 hours in English. So I have enough of this one-way interaction every day. Can you imagine? I speak for 22 hours non-stop, unilaterally, without giving the other side a chance to speak through the week. So I think I'd like to hear a little bit more from you. Now, why did I say that the subject should be news that is not in a vacuum? Because when I entered this profession, I had finished my master's in social anthropology. I came back, I got a job in the Telegraph, and then I came to NDTV. The only thing I was told, so I went between 2 extremes. The first job I got was in Telegraph. And the job in Telegraph was to write editorials and editorial articles on the editorial page of the Telegraph newspaper. So essentially, we were capsuled in one environment. Everybody in that room had some very highfalutin degrees from Oxford and Cambridge. I mean, the overeducated, underemployed people were put in the editorial department. And I was also one of them. So there were 8 of us who were sitting in one room. They would smoke relentlessly, pontificate on everything, have no connection with the real world, quote French anthropologists, British historians, and appear to be in another world. And we were told never mingle with the reporters. Don't meet the rest of the newsroom. You are far too educated. You are far too special. So we were constantly told, just be among yourself. And so for 1 year in Calcutta, I spent in a smoky room, just talking great things, thinking about great thoughts, talking about great episodes, and never really being connected with what was going out in the real world. And that was a time when in print, it would be exciting to write theoretical articles about what is happening in France and England and America, what is happening with the Tories in the UK, and essentially I lost all connection with the reality of journalism and the reality of this country. I felt annoying, sort of a sense in my mind. I was 22 years old. I felt I'm too cut off from the reality of this country, and this is not what I came back to do. And I was told, listen, you always need to just give your opinion on things. So in the editorial pages, we would give our opinions on everything without any real life experience. And then 1995, I came to NDTV. And when I joined NDTV, I joined as a reporter. And there the situation was completely different. I remember walking up the steps of NDTV and we were sent out to meet some of our seniors. And the only thing that we were told is, listen, let's make one thing very clear. You are not expected to give your opinion on anything. So I went from one extreme in Kolkata, where we was told to give my opinion on everything, to a situation in Delhi, in NDTV, where we were told we are not supposed to express our view on anything. And those were the days when the programs and the stories that we would do would be shown on Doordarshan, because NDTV was essentially making software, making stories, making shows for Doordarshan. So everything that we did, whether or not the people at NDTV admit it now, in those years of the Congress, was under some level of unofficial censorship by the then Congress government and the other governments which followed. So whatever we were doing, the scripts we wrote, the stories we did, in everything, there was this unwritten understanding that all of this would be checked by some government censors sitting in Doordarshan or Prasar Bharati, and there would be 2 or 3 layers, and we were supposed to send our stories to the government, and the stories would be previewed by somebody in the government and then telecast. So it was, censorship was a way of life, if you know what I mean. We were supposedly private news broadcasters, but we were censored, and censorship was a way of life. And that's the world in which I became a journalist. I spent 4 or 5 years at NDTV at that point of time, and I came to the point in 2001, 2002, when I said enough, I want to get out of this profession. And I remember one episode I have maybe recounted a couple of times, where something had happened, and Ramakant Khalap was the Union Law Minister or Minister of State in one of the third front governments in the 1990s. And I remember I asked him a question. I'm giving you these episodes so that you have some understanding of the world in which we enter the profession. I remember I asked him a question near gate number 4 of Parliament, a direct question. And by the time I came back to office, he had called complaining, and I was asked to go back and apologize to him. And the reason I'm telling you this is because today, the same people who genuflected before the Congress at that point of time are preaching about journalism to me because we broke the rules that they lived by. There was not a single investigative report in this country in those years. Was there corruption? Yes. Why was the corruption not reported? Well, the simple answer to the question is, why was the coal scam never reported in the last 10 years of the Trinamool government in Bengal? Why has the infiltration from Bangladesh, which has changed the demography of many districts of Bengal, never been reported actively by the media in Bengal itself? Why was the syndicate, I'm speaking to you from Kolkata today, why was the syndicate, which operated freely in the new construction zones near Kolkata, where we would take a 20% cut for every construction project, why was it never reported? For the same reason that not a single incident of corruption in the first 14 years that I spent in this profession, from 1995-96 till 2010, till the Commonwealth Games scam. If you are to go by what the media did then, we were living in a pristine world. We were living in a beautiful world, according to the media. What I described today, and I hope the people of Chennai will be more forgiving of me when I use this phrase, which I use with the people in Delhi don't like it, Lutyens media. The Lutyens media and the Lutyenized media made us all believe that everything is all right. There is nothing wrong. So what if you have political instability, corruption, etc.? Everything is all right. And by the time someone like me had joined the profession, the people in the media in Delhi had been completely indoctrinated, completely taken in, and completely been made part of the system. They were part of every polo match. They were part of every champagne circuit, every foreign tour. And young people like me who came in with an enormous amount of idealism into the profession, enormous amount, because we were hungry for change, because we came out of college after the reforms, because we got our degrees in the mid-90s, and we had these freshly minted degrees, and we had a lot of excitement. And when we saw many of the brighter ones among us would do their MBAs from IIMs, etc., and off with the MNC job, half our batches would leave the country. We were the ones who came back. We were the ones with the degrees, the opportunities, and the experience we wanted to contribute. And for some of us, the greatest contribution that we could do to accelerate the period of process of change in this country was journalism. And therefore, we were the idealists. We were, as someone would say, the foolish and the hungry ones in the mid-90s. But when we entered the media, we entered a media which was a cesspool of compromise, where you were not meant to report anything. Let me give you another example to highlight my predicament. And I still have that letter, but I'll tell you. The predicament was interesting. I was a reporter outside the CPM office. And at that point of time, there were some, after the elections, there were some permutations and combinations being made to form a government. And one day, I was standing outside the CPM office. I was told that a person called I.K. Gujral has come up to meet Harkishan Singh Surjit, and I was told that I'm going to get a chance to interview him. And I quickly called the production control room and I said, please tell Pranoy, please convey to Pranoy that we've got a person called I.K. Gujral who's here to be interviewed. And immediately the response from the production control room was, I.K. Gujral who? And interestingly, after a week, he became the Prime Minister. And in that interview, had it happened, I'm sure he would have denied any prime ministerial ambitions. But that's not the story I wanted to tell you about. The story I wanted to tell you about was about how the media would be treated in those days. One day, I was told by Dipankar Mukherjee of the CPM that Jyoti Basu is at Banga Bhavan. All of India was speculating in that particular election. Now, memory fails me whether it was 96, 97, 98, 99. But there was a strong chance of the left leading a new formation and Jyoti Basu becoming Prime Minister. But the matter needed the ratification of the Central Committee and the Politburo of the CPM. I was taken in through the back door and there was this big battle between the Kerala lobby and the Bengal lobby. The Bengal lobby wanted Jyoti Basu to come in, but Prakash Karat did not want, and there was this inner confabulations going on. I remember I interviewed Jyoti Basu, and the next day when I came back, after the interview had been played, reporting from the CPM office, one of the people in the CPM office pointed to me saying, he's the one. And I asked, what is my fault? And they said, aren't you the one who interviewed Jyoti Basu and started asking him whether he wants, whether the left should be part of the government? I said I was. And then I was taken in the reception of the CPM office. Two people proceeded to hold my head in their hands, banged my head against the wall. I was thrashed and beaten black and blue by one faction of the CPM inside the CPM headquarters. And the reason I'm telling you this because this is a historical fact. When I came back, I remember I told Pranoy and I told Radhika Roy about what had happened. And I was told that I should seek an apology. I went and sought an apology and I said that if you don't apologize for what happened to me, I will sit on a dharna. I was a 24-year-old. I said, I'll sit on a dharna outside the CPM office. And I still have the letter with me. I don't know where it is now, but Prakash Karath wrote a letter of apology to me. That's not the story. That's not the point. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that as idealists, we were suffocated in that environment. You imagine an idealistic 24, 25-year-old who gives up all other opportunities and comes to become a reporter. And what do you see? You enter a profession which has been compromised, limited by geography, and affected by personal greed. I will not name the individuals who teach me lectures in journalism. I'll tell you what I saw in my 20s. If you understand and empathize with what I saw in my 20s, you will then probably sympathize with what I did in my 30s and forgive what I'm doing in my 40s. But in my 20s, I'll tell you what I saw, a bird's eye view. You would be invited you'd be told that an editor in Delhi of a newspaper is organizing a lunch in a farmhouse. You'd suddenly land up in a Chatarpur farmhouse of 20 to 30 acres. And you'd see an editor who'd probably not be earning more than 40,000 rupees a month at that time, living like a Roman emperor. There were no questions asked at that point of time. Where did the money come from? Editors were cutting deals in Delhi. And I'm sorry if those retired editors running websites now are trying to pretend that they have a lecture in journalism to teach me. They were stinkingly corrupt. Media had been compromised. Reporters like us were made to run around doing errands for editors while they were cutting deals. Journalists were sometimes richer than the proprietors of the organizations they worked for. And there was not a single, I challenge everyone today, and the Rotary Club of Madras should do a serious research on the subject. Where was the investigative reporting between 1995 and 2010? Kindly tell me. When Ganesh, you said people either like me or dislike me, they like me because of what I do. They dislike me for what they did not do. And they did not question. I am the nail on their conscience, Ganesh. The battle between me and the rest of the Indian media is a battle that we will win. So many questions will be answered, therefore, on whether it was a collective sigh of relief when I was sent to jail on November 4th for 10 days, 11 days. There was a collective sigh of relief from the rest of the media on the day I was arrested. And believe you me, Ganesh, they would have wanted me there for a long time. A long time. But that's not the story. The fact of the matter is we must not look back in life with anger. We must look at every episode that we experienced and tell ourselves that it prepared us for something better. I have titled this, My Newsroom is Not in a Vacuum, and I'll tell you why. Now let me switch back to 2006. I'm sitting in a room with a lot of advertising professionals from a company called Leo Burnett. We're about to launch a channel called Times Now. Now I'm switching you back to, this is about December 2005. And in this room, we're all thinking and we are talking. There's a sense of palpable excitement. A lot of excitement because we've taken a lot of effort to build a channel. A lot of careers are at stake. A lot of young people have come together to launch a channel. And we've all been told that it will fail. We are told NDTV is the colossus. The biggest mistake of your career was thinking that you could challenge NDTV. And we're sitting in this room and we're saying, how will we differentiate the channel? How will we make the channel different? And every advertising executive and producer and journalist is sitting around and asking themselves, how will we differentiate this channel? And then we come up with this with this tagline. We say that we'll call it Times Now. Feel the news. And everybody says, feel the news. What do you mean by feel the news? You read the news. You watch the news. You don't feel the news. I said, but that's the only thing we can do. We have to bring people closer to the news. We have to make them feel that news is a living object, that it impacts them. News is not just information. News is passion. News is involvement. News is feeling. News is hurt. News is anger. News is association. And so they said, visualize for us, feel the news, visualize it for us. And I'll tell you this, and then we'll come to the journalistic part. I said, imagine, and I remember telling them this, I said, imagine that you have a video of Sachin Tendulkar scoring a century at Lord's. And imagine that there is no audio over it. It's just only the visual, only the video. And in a country where cricket is an undying passion, imagine that the only audio over that is a heartbeat. So you don't have the ambient sound of the stadium, but you all experience a heartbeat. And so you have Sachin Tendulkar scoring the shot, looking up, and the only audio layer over it is the heartbeat, thak thak, thak thak, thak thak, right? The pulsating heartbeat, the excitement of people. For that moment, we've all got a heart in our mouth. I said, that's a news moment. At that point, people are feeling that news of a century being scored by Sachin. It's their collective victory. And you play the heartbeat and you just end up with a tagline, Times Now, feel the news. That's all. That's how we launched Times Now. But we never got a chance to experience it. We never got a chance to live that moment. In the difficulty and pain and failures after our launch, because we were a bunch of young people up against very experienced people, we lost completely. And we ended up last in the ratings game. My ex-bosses had launched channels. CNN IBN was launched. We just couldn't compete. We lost. We were about to lose our jobs. And everybody gave up on us. They said, this is not Times Now. You should rename it Times When. Because when will this channel ever be successful? And in the middle of all this, I remember one episode I've told you which changed my life. It was when a 5-year-old boy fell into a borewell in Kurukshetra in Haryana. The boy's name was Prince. And for 4 days, when he fell into a borewell that was supposed to be covered by a manhole cover, and that cover was supposed to be put by the government, the child was the son of a landless laborer. And the story became one of government apathy. And for the first time, we opened something on Indian television called interactivity. There was no Twitter, no Facebook. All you had were phone calls and emails. So you would open the phone calls and the emails. And that is the first time in the history of Indian television that we experienced the power of change. Is the first time, I believe, that Indian journalism came out of its self-imposed vacuum. For 4 days, we fought for one child. It has never happened before. Never happened before. If you read newspapers, let me tell you what that means for a newspaper reader. When an organization, a news organization, decides that we will not cover any other story, which means you are taking a very profound editorial call. That unless tomorrow there is some cataclysmic event, we will not cover any news story apart from this one. Now, what does that mean in real terms? In real terms, it means an organization of a few hundred people only focus on the coverage of one story. It also means in real terms that you expose yourself to the charge of sensationalism. You will be then told you are sensationalizing a news event. You will be told you are quote unquote overdoing it. You will be told that you have not covered many other significant news events, sports, politics, economics. You will be told you are exploiting a tragedy. Let's be very frank about it. You will be told that you may have a political agenda. You will be told by some people that maybe you don't like the government in Haryana, that's why you are exposing it. You will be told that you are acting as a political conduit for somebody else to square off. You will be told you don't like the local member of parliament, you have an axe to grind, that's why you're doing it. But nobody will tell you when it starts that you are doing something right. Everybody will be in your ear with all kinds of criticism. And you know why? Because you're not covering a story. You're challenging the way journalism has been done. But then everybody will go silent when that 5-year-old boy on his 6th birthday comes up. And I still remember the moment. Imagine a newsroom for 4 days has covered this event, been roundly criticized by all its peers. And on the 4th day or 3rd day, I don't remember, after 2 days of an agonizing battle, when people from all over the country, from Chennai to Guwahati, have been calling on how to save Prince. So the people of India are on one side, your journalistic colleagues are on the other. The people of India are involved in your battle to save Prince's life. And the rest of the media, the journalists are out there abusing you, criticizing you, attacking you, because they know you have captured the pulse of the people in this country, which they have not for 60 years and more. For 60 years after independence, they have betrayed the people of India. And one quote unquote loser channel with a bunch of inexperienced journalists has captured the pulse of the people of India. Every phone call coming into my newsroom is a slap in the face of that media and a reaffirmation of the fact that the country is changing. You're speaking to a new India. And when the child comes out alive, he does not, by the way, you don't even know if he's alive. I remember, you should go back and see the pictures. When Prince came out, he was covered in a cloth. And there is a picture, a video, which you can play later, Gopal, of a Jawan from the military engineers regiment bringing him out. And he's taken out. And there is a gap of 10-15 minutes when you don't know whether Prince is alive. And when the announcement is made by the general from the army who's on the spot, because by now the ministers, generals, member of parliament, everybody is there. Everybody is there. Many of you may think that for me, the biggest story should have been the Commonwealth Games, should have been Aircel Maxis scam, should have been Adarsh, or should even be what's happening in Mumbai today or Sushant. But for me, the biggest story of my life was Prince, because it changed my life. When he was brought out alive and when the army announced that he was living, my entire newsroom wept. We have wept. We have felt the news. We've been in and out. We've suffered with the people. We've got angry with the people. And in the sheer innocence with which we joined the profession, we have been daredevils of our time. Prince changed the fundamentals of Indian journalism. Everything changed after that. And I believe the first thing which changed was, and now let me tell you, superimpose for me, 2 images. The image that I imagined sitting with the executives of Leo Burnett when I talked about Sachin Tendulkar and Feel the News. And superimpose on that what we are seeing now with the images of Prince coming out of the borewell with the voice of with the sound of the heartbeat, dhak dhak, dhak dhak, dhak dhak. Over that is the most evocative visual of our present times. That visual should be remembered in the history of India as the moment which changed our journalism forever. Everything I have done after that changed. Because somewhere in my mind, I realized, and that thought became stronger and stronger in the course of the next 2 or 3 years that there is a magic to this profession which has not been realized. It's the most beautiful profession you can be in. You may not earn the most money. You may not always be appreciated, but it is the most noble, one of the most noble professions you can be a part of, but not in the way it has been done in this country. Not for individual greed or individual pride or individual arrogance. And so maybe we had an exaggerated sense of our central importance. Because since Prince, and that was Prince 2006, we began to feel that if we, out of genuineness, change the rules of the game of journalism, journalism should not be seen as a complex profession anymore. It should be seen as the most simple profession. It's like a doctor's profession. A sick man comes in, he's either sick or he's not. If he's sick, you've got to cure him. If he's not, you've got to tell him he'll be fine. Similarly, journalism is simply a choice between right and wrong, and black and white. That's what it is. There's no complexity between it. If there is something wrong, you either report it to make it right. But don't report a wrong for it to remain a wrong. Don't whine. W-H-I-N-E. Don't be a hagiographer. Don't complain. Don't expect someone else to make the change. Force them to make the change. Force them to make a change. Let your reporting be the reporting of impact, for which you've got to build scale, tenacity, and perseverance. And if you follow through with scale, tenacity, perseverance, and if you're individually or organizationally not compromised, you can make incredible changes in this country. Incredible. When I reported the Commonwealth Games scam, and anyway, I have mentioned it in passing on a couple of occasions. I am always grateful to Suresh Kalmadi, because if Suresh Kalmadi had not attacked me, I would not have exposed the Commonwealth Games scam. In brief, I'll tell you this, and I've explained this story before, that all I had was a piece of paper with a 20 lakh accounting deficit. I'm sure there are chartered accountants among some of you. A bunch of Indians went to London for the organizing committee of the Commonwealth Games. Basically, they put 50% of the money that was allocated in their pocket, showed the invoicing through a car company called AM Cars, and routed the money back to themselves. It's a simple, it's the classical art of turning black to white, white to black, and putting it in your pocket. The bills are there. We are experts. If we are global leaders in something, it is in making fake bills. So they did that. I had the papers. The Treasury Department of Her Majesty's government caught it. I hyped the story. I had no scam with me. I claimed it was the Commonwealth Games scam. And Rhythm is there, our legal editor, on this message. You can ask her later. When this is an inside story, I'll tell you. When we don't have a big story with us, we hype a medium level story, right? Because you've got to make yourself look busy. So we said Commonwealth Games scam. Gopal, you're not going to put this on YouTube and all, you embarrass me. I'm just joking. I'm saying, we said Commonwealth Games scam, part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, part 3 day after, part 4 on Thursday. And so next day I found that Kalmadi was doing a press conference, because somebody told him this fellow has got the whole scam. Now he was sitting on $1 billion scam. I had no idea about it, but he did a press conference, and watching him from my newsroom, I felt something was wrong. And as you know, there were many Brutuses around him. A Brutus called me and said, you know, story very well done. So I said, yes. He said, you have all the papers? I said, I have all the papers. Because my father always told me, my uncle always told me, always be confident. In life, one thing you should never be short of. It should be confidence. So I confidently told him, I have all the papers. He said, you mean you have all the papers? Yeah. You have the papers on the velodrome, you have the papers on this stadium, you have the papers on the cement company. I said, of course, I have everything with me. And the person came and told me then, okay, I'll send you a little bit more. So he sent me next morning, I got the whole packet with me. So always say, if somebody I have to thank for the Commonwealth Games scam being broken, it is Suresh Kalmadi. Had he not overreacted, there would have been no scam. But going back to the initial story, whatever we did, we began to realize that in this country, if you don't shout, you will not be heard. And if you don't escalate, you will not be noticed. Politicians, bureaucrats, policemen, thick-hide, they couldn't care less about a story on the page 4 of a newspaper. Now imagine you're in Chennai, so you must be readers of the Hindu. Imagine the Hindu comes to you in the morning, page 1, same story, page 2, same story, up to page 16, 17, I don't know how many pages there are in the Hindu. Imagine there are different angles of the same story. You would, as a reader, be forced to pay attention to the story. And those you are exposing would, therefore, in the course of one newspaper, be forced to take action. For me, the channel is like a newspaper of 16 pages. When I've decided to do disproportionate coverage of a story, I'm doing so with a clear intent that the people who need to notice will be forced to notice. Now apply this logic on everything that we have done. 2008, it was the year of the 26/11 episode. It was also the year when there was an attack. And I'll tell you one more story. There was a case where a few terrorists, so 2008, you might think that I'm bringing journalism down to some very basic things when such high-level, highfalutin theoretical concepts are taught at journalism schools. For me, I have never been to a journalism school. And I don't even favor people going to a journalism school because they overteach you and they underprepare you for the real world. But there was a story when there were a group of terrorists, 3 terrorists, who had come in from the line of control towards Jammu. They wanted to throw some grenades or attack an army camp. They could not do so. They were apprehended. The army fired back. They ran from there and they got into an auto rickshaw and they put the gun to the auto rickshaw driver's head and made him go around residential complexes in Jammu. And eventually, late that evening, they entered a house. And in that house, there were 2 women and 3 children, small children. There were 2 mothers and their 3 children. And the mothers were teaching the children together. They went into the house. This episode, unreported in the Indian media, happened on September 2008, 2 months before 26/11, when we did not read the signals. This incident happened. There was a hostage situation. And there were these terrorists who had entered. The army was trying to carry out an exercise to save the children. And this episode, this live episode, was being reported from a distance by our cameras. It was accidental that night I had a Pakistani guest on my program that evening. And I'm just telling you these episodes so you just understand and identify why I said news cannot be in a vacuum. News happens only when you open your heart to the events. News does not happen when you don't feel the news. When this episode happened, you as a parent and everyone begins to think, this could be my family member, this could be my child, this could be someone I know, right? It could just imagine what's going on inside that house and how cowardly of those terrorists from Pakistan to hold the children hostage. I think it was, I don't know who it was a minister from Pakistan who was on the program. And I remember these pictures were coming in and somehow the pictures became interlopers of my thoughts. And I could not restrain myself from asking him on the episode which was happening. And for about 10 minutes, the Pakistani minister, who was acquainted with the nuanced way in which diplomats express themselves, started talking about non-state actors and giving the same diplomatic garble to answer back to me. And eventually, in a moment of anger, I asked him that, can you please tell me, Mr. Minister, are those Pakistani terrorists who are holding these Indian children and mothers hostage, are they cowards? And suddenly the minister was quiet because this was not the usual kind of question. The usual question would be where you go into a semi-intellectual argument on who is a state actor, who is a non-state actor, what are the lines of deniability, whether the person holds citizenship or not, whether Pakistan can be held responsible for the actions of non-state actors, and there would be a conversation which would make no sense to anyone. The journalist would be happy, the person being interviewed would be happy, but it would have no impact. On the other hand, I was told that the moment I asked the question on are these people cowards, and seeing the trepidation and nervousness of the Pakistani minister, viewers had started calling. And viewers started calling and saying, we want this question asked again. And I remember I asked the question 20 times and 30 times. And I remember coming out of the studio that day, both angry and upset, but having felt that for the first time in my life, I had asked a straight question, which is why on the third day of 26/11, 2.5 or 3 months later, when, because of our coverage, the government of India decided that Times Now, which I was anchoring live for 72 hours during 26/11, and the central government on instructions said that Times Now's live coverage would not be available to the citizens of Mumbai. I don't remember whether it was Anand Sharma or whether it was Manish Tiwari. I think it was Anand Sharma. I said to him and I called him and I said that if you are not going to restore our coverage back, the people of Mumbai will not know what's going on at Taj and Trident and Chabad House, and I will go live and I will say on camera that you are blocking me with your censorship. By this time, we had completely discovered ourselves. By this time, our form of journalism had captured the pulse of the people of this country. And we were speaking back to power, which is why I do not accept the judgments of the people in Lutyens who say they need to teach us to speak back to power. We speak back to power all the time. During 26/11, I'll tell you one more episode. After the coverage happened, and I remember we had all wept once again together when Major Sandeep Unikrishnan's body was being cremated in Bengaluru by his father. I remember 2 occasions when we felt the news so deeply, we wept in the newsroom. Maybe it was a moment when we all came together and we could not bear it anymore. Maybe we were angry. Maybe we felt that our government had become weak. Maybe we felt angry that after this had happened, after the episode had happened, a filmmaker called Ram Gopal Verma or somebody was given a tour of the area by the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, almost as if this was something on which a movie was to be made. Maybe we felt very frustrated at the forms of government and our response to Pakistan, or maybe we were just a younger generation, hungry, as it were, for India to discover its geostrategic might and potential. But for whatever reason, we wept in the newsroom when Major Sandeep Unikrishnan's body was cremated. And the next day or the day after that, when thousands of people gathered at the gateway of India. I'm now letting you on to the inside stories. We got calls from Delhi. The then government called us. Cabinet minister called us. Directly called me and said, "What the hell are you showing?" They said. I said, "We are showing live pictures." We are showing live pictures, sir, outside the gateway of India. The minister says, "Who are these people?" I said, "They're normal people." He said, "Why is your report?" I'm telling you, I'm just not naming the person. Why are you giving Aam Janta so much time? I said, "What do you want me to do?" They said, "Speak to politicians, diplomats, bureaucrats. If you want, we'll send some ministers, ask them how to handle Pakistan." Why are you asking the people on the road how we should deal with Pakistan? And I'm just telling you this because my exploration of journalism has not been taught on a campus. It has been taught from these live experiences. I said, I damn well will show it. And I will continue the live coverage. And every time that we were asked and questioned and summoned to Delhi, please don't think that when we take on these people, they don't want to take us back. But we changed it. I truly believe that Indian foreign policy vis-a-vis Pakistan, compromised by Manmohan Singh during Sharm el-Sheikh. The turning point was 26/11. Even Pranab Mukherjee privately would agree that the turning point was 26/11. Because we forced the government to believe that this track 3, track 4 with Pakistan, which only benefited journalists and former journalists who would be given money by intelligence agencies to run quote unquote NGOs, and then they would go to Kathmandu and Singapore and have a little 5-star party every 6 months and discuss ways for India and Pakistan to work together, while Pakistan used this route to bleed us. All that changed. And we were hated. We were hated because we had absolutely nothing to lose. We were hated because we were not vested. We were not vested. We were not meeting these people. We had no obligations on them. We lived by our salaries and our beliefs. And imagine the impact we had when we took those beliefs into the area of corruption. I want you to remember 2010 to 2011. I know a lot of people hate me. A lot of people do. It is my life's, both my life's blessing and my life's burden. But regardless of that, I have one question to people who hate me. I tell them, let me give you your media back. Forget me, eliminate me, destroy the Republic Media Network. Suppose we went. Suppose Parambir was successful. Suppose Sachin Waze was successful. Suppose Arnab had been eliminated in whatever happened in December. Suppose I was not here, Gopal, to talk to you today. And let's not imagine that was not a real possibility at that time. I think the people of India know what we have been through. But I say to everybody who hates us, I have one gift for you. And they say, what? I said, I will gift you back the media of 2005. And then tell your children and your grandchildren that that media will make India a better country. And consequently also think of the great societal political churn when from June 2010 up to February, March, April 2011, a torrent happens in the country. One by one, a scam begins to be discovered. And Times Now and a bunch of us sitting in a mill compound in Mumbai are breaking all the scams. Brown paper envelopes anonymously delivered on our doorstep. Were brown paper envelopes not anonymously delivered on the doorstep of other media organizations? I'm sure they were. Were they carried? I'm sure they were not. And the scam of Indian journalism is in where those brown paper envelopes anonymously delivered disappeared. Did someone do arbitrage on it? Was not covering a story itself an occupation for some people? Now, these are difficult questions, but they must be asked. Because between 2010 June to March, April 2011, we completely made corruption a national issue. All of you, many of you are from Tamil Nadu. It was told to us that there was a lot of corruption in Tamil Nadu. But it was also told to us that the politicians from Tamil Nadu are very confident that corruption is not an election issue. It was told to us. You know. Right? But at the same time, you also know that nobody had the confidence to say that in 2012. And that's why I say the Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, they came later. They took on the campaign which was ours. Anna Hazare didn't contribute to the fight against corruption. Let's be clear about it with a great respect to the man. He didn't know what he was talking about. We knew. Prashant Bhushan, Yogendra Yadav, Arvind Kejriwal, they did not know. We were the ones who were making the sacrifices, taking the attacks. Cases were filed on us. Small cases in which there was no malice by us, which would usually pass by the publishing of a corrigendum in a newspaper. 100 crore cases were filed personally on us. The idea was to bring us to the ground. Cabinet ministers would fly down to Mumbai and say, listen, pay XYZ so much money and we can settle the case for you. Otherwise, lose your job. We fought the good fight. And what a fight it has been. The battles that we have fought, in my view, are setting the stage for a new form of journalism that is now going to open up from 2020 to 2030.
Arnab?
Yes.
If I may interrupt now, I think I can see the passion, and you'll go on and on and on. I think we've got a lot of
I'll tell you
questions.
2 things and I'll complete and hand it over to you.
No,
Yep.
but Arnab, you have to take some questions as well.
I just say
There are
one thing.
lots of questions.
Yeah, you have got to take some questions also,
I'll
Arnab.
take the questions. I'll just say one thing before I close.
Had your lunch?
I don't have lunch. Between 2020 to 2030,
Yeah.
we are now going to enter a beautiful and a glorious phase of Indian journalism. And I just want to say a few things in a couple of minutes to prepare you for the future. The resilience the Indian media has shown and the churn that has gone on in the Indian media over the last 12, 13 years, in my view, is setting the stage for a complete sea change in Indian journalism in the next 10 years. Like we were the software capital, we are now going to become the media capital of the world. I am very happy to tell the members of the Rotary Club of Madras that the process has begun for the launch of a global news network by Republic. And in 2021 is the year when we are working round the clock to launch a global network, a digital and television global network for which we are beginning the process of planning, business planning, fundraising from May. And on the 75th year of Indian independence, we are going to produce from the soil of our country with Indian professionals, Indian talent, Indian technology. A global enterprise not aimed at the Indian audience, but aimed at the global audience. India will be the voice of Asia. Just like BBC is the voice of a part of Western Europe post-Brexit. And CNN is the voice of Atlanta. We will be the voice of Asia around the world because we believe we speak better English than anyone else. We have better grammar, better technology, and a younger population. So that's all I want to say, Gopal. I'm open to any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
On
Arnab.
this note, should I ask Gautam to process
Yes.
the Q&A? And meanwhile, Arnab, are we signing a agreement for writing your biography, autobiography?
It'd be lovely, no?
What we are going to do, Arnab, is that we have asked one of our members to take the questions, as we have got over 250 people at one point in time. So rather than opening up the questions to everyone, it will be chaotic. So one of our members, Gautam, will chat with you with the questions that we have so far collected.
And just to add to that, President, we have the video which Arnab has been so passionately talking about ready.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
Arnab would want us, we can show the rescue of Prince being shown on the Times in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we do that now or
Do
do
it
we?
now. I think it would be a. Please do it. Please do
Okay,
it.
Raj, can you please have that video on?
The nation prayed for his survival.
Right now, the crowds are just wanting, as they know that the moment is coming close where the boy would finally be coming out. I could just see people jostling in the crowd to have a view. Even where the media presence is there, people are just coming in, and the police and the authorities are having a tough time controlling the crowds who just want to be a part of this moment to see the boy finally out of that ordeal.
Little Prince, then 4 years old, would become India's biggest breaking news subject.
See, I'll ask the cameraman to pan towards the mother. She is now doing her last bit of prayers before she finally sees the face of the little one. I just saw some group of youngsters standing with a bright orange color poster saying happy birthday Prince. As I told you, today was his birthday and he turned 5.
50 hours later, he would be rescued.
This is the moment, the boy is coming out as we can see it on our screen. The boy is finally coming out. There he is, as you can see him. You can hear the screams of the people. This is indeed a moment which is worth reckoning with, a miracle indeed.
His story would be India's story.
बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, बड़ी खुशी हो रही है.
Thanks, Raj.
Hi, good afternoon, Arnab. This is Gautam here. I would like to thank Gopalatham sir. I mean, actually, I'm thanking him now after hearing you speak, because when he asked me to, conduct the question session with you, I was really skeptical, and I had butterflies in my stomach till this morning. And then when I heard you speak, it has settled down, and I actually want to address you as sir to begin with, because of your accomplishments and all the brand that you command. But then you have put us at ease, and I would like to take the liberty of addressing you by your first name.
Yes.
So I'll start off with a personal question first, because I also, kind of in a way connect with the pulse that you were talking about. I'm a first generation entrepreneur, and my business falls in the category of MSMEs, the small and medium enterprises that are not only the biggest contributors to the Indian economy, but a major source of entrepreneurial skills, innovation, and employment for being Atmanirbhar or becoming Atmanirbhar. The sector, despite the very well intended laws and policies by the central government, continues to grapple with risk averse bankers, bureaucracy that is unwilling to take quick decisions, and often and costly delayed adjudications in forums that are specially meant to serve them, since they lack the collective voice or they fail to generate the required TRPs. So Arnab, RCM, Rotary Club of Madras, wants to know, I'm taking it from your tagline, can you and your news channel take it on themselves to consistently highlight the problems faced by MSMEs for building an Atmanirbhar Bharat? That's the question that I want to ask first.
Well, I would be happy to connect with you or any other members of your organization. And if there are specific things that you would want us to highlight, I would be very happy to. So we can do it in an organized manner.
Sure.
Because we do manage to get some attention to the issues that we raise.
Okay.
But let us understand the issues before I commit to in greater detail. But after this, maybe I can be connected to you and then we can take it forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. This question is from Rotarian Balakrishna. He wants to know, how is the level of censorship with this government at the center when compared to the previous Congress and third front governments?
There is nothing called official censorship ever. But I would say that the Congress government had many years of managing the media. So the media was very well behaved with them. It was not censorship. It was a system of rewards. It was discounts. It was subsidies on newsprint. It was government advertisements. It was trips abroad. It was access. And most of the
I think I lost you for a bit.
Yeah, so I was just saying that the media was very well behaved, quote unquote, in the Congress time, because they had. Can you hear me all? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear? I think Gautam is on a.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all hear you.
Yeah, so I thought the media was very well behaved, and they were giving unlimited access, and access was misused, and there were lots of government subsidies thrown and government largesse thrown to the media without reason in the Congress party's time, and therefore I think that when the BJP government came in, a lot of media houses were apprehensive about what would happen to them. And some of their apprehensions were correct, because the system of favors with large media houses is no longer there. Access is zero. Access is not possible. An editor or a proprietor of a media house cannot walk into a cabinet minister or the PMO and cut a deal. So, the unhappiness of the Indian media, sections of the Indian media, are because of these reasons. And therefore, as far as the present government is concerned, I think the media is more distant from the present government than it was in the previous government. And that's not necessarily.
This question is from Rotarian Shakti Garish. She wants to know how much time do you spend in keeping yourself abreast with the news, and how well informed are you on Indian as well as the world political scenario actually?
I missed the first part. What did you say?
How much time do you spend in keeping yourself abreast of the news, and how well informed are you on Indian as well as the world political scenario actually?
Okay.
And when your favorite news sources, and what are your favorite news sources?
Okay, so I'll deal with it first. I am not as abreast with global news issues as I should be. I pick up a lot from other sources, and I believe my son knows more about foreign news, so I pick up a little bit from him. And I wish I could do more about understanding global news. I am abreast with it to the extent that I can be, but as you would appreciate, Indian news, domestic news in India is largely domestic news. Our interest in global affairs is limited, and therefore we have to spend a lot of time in the nuances of domestic news. I'm very well acquainted with global national events. I don't get the time to go into it in as much detail, and which is my big regret right now. Even if I can spend a couple of hours separately researching on my subjects, I end up doing a better show. I'm very well aware of what's going on in Bengal now, for example, because I've started a channel in Bengal. I'm working in depth in the area. I look forward to expanding. I think when we bring Republic to different parts of the country, then things will change. Maybe when we launch our Tamil channel, I will know a lot more about Tamil politics and Tamil events. So we look forward to taking our channel to different parts of India soon.
Kapil, you would like to ask your priority questions so that the time is about 3:25.
Yes. Okay.
Arnab, another 10 minutes would be fine for you.
It's okay.
All right, Arnab. Well, I think, I personally have been watching you, I think, from the day you started. And I still come onto your channel ever so often. But quite honestly, beyond a certain point, the sound of it becomes so overwhelming that one cannot fathom what is being discussed or what the objective or outcome of that chat is. Can you please, is that something that still is of, is part of the what do you call the way the show has to be run? Because I'm sure a lot of people actually disconnect at that point, at some point in time. And your shows, I tell you, are brilliant. Every topic is brilliant.
You're correct, Kapil. I don't want to blame others, but it's part of also who we are. We are a very argumentative society, and I'll bring this down to a very simple thing. There's no part of the format, but most people on my panel never wait for someone else to complete.
Yes.
Even if I wait, you will find that if any of my panelists speaks for more than 20 seconds, 4 others jump in. So a lot of time is wasted in that process. So I'm working on it. Kapil, give me 1 or 2 months and I will fix it.
The stimulated anger will tone down, perhaps.
No, it's not.
I wanted to actually say is that you said you were one of the hungry ones, and I only hope that hunger never diminishes.
No, never. It will never. Not as long as I'm in this job or I'm broadcasting. So I'll control that. I'll control that small thing on audio that you mentioned. You'll see a difference in a month or 2.
Please.
Kapil, can I take over?
Yes, sir. Please do.
Has Gautam got disconnected? Or?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, Prasad?
Has Gautam got disconnected?
No, actually, time element.
Okay. Thank you.
What we will
Thank you very much, Gautam and Kapil. Before we try to close, we have something special. When our Biswajit Babu heard about Arnab coming in as a chief guest speaker, he has done a caricature which is going to be shown now on the screen by Sandhya. This is Arnab. How do you like it, Arnab?
Wonderful. Wonderful. It's beautiful. Thank you.
And do you promise to preserve it and put it at a prominent place when we
Yes.
visit, any of us visit you next time to see it?
100%. It will have a pride of place in one of my offices in Mumbai or Delhi or Kolkata for sure.
Thank you.
I love
Anyway,
it.
Goswami is primarily used, the name is primarily used for those people who choose to become sannyasi. You look at the pattern of Chaitanya Math and other things, I would like to see probably X number of years down the line. Raj, can we see how Arnab is going to be?
I don't think he'll preserve this.
Sorry?
I don't think he'll preserve this picture.
No, he would. He has to. Arnab, how do you like this?
Okay, sir. I won't comment on this.
Actually, he looks like the current day's Rajarishi. Anyway,
right.
thank you very much. It has indeed been a pleasure. I'm personally indebted to you that you could honor my invitation to be with us. And really an entertaining, rather educative afternoon.
Thank
You
you.
are passionate. I have offered you my services to do your autobiography. And now, Kapil, handing over the meeting to you for adjournment.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gopalji. And Arnab, I can't thank you enough for being here this afternoon. I truly feel that everyone who's been on this program has thoroughly enjoyed what you have to say and what you said.
275 attendance, Kapil.
I must tell you is that while it has been refreshing, I've also seen a sensitive side to you, which I've never seen on TV earlier, at least not too often at least. And your passion came through very clearly. All the very best in all your future endeavors, and we look forward to meeting you sometime in person.
Thank you to everyone in the Rotary Club of Madras. And I want to say one thing before I go, that I am a Rotary-let. My father was the president of Guwahati South Rotary.
Oh, wow.
Whenever I went to Guwahati, my father, who passed in 2018, would take me to the Rotary Club meeting. And I have also been with him to a Rotary meeting he used to have every Friday in Mumbai. So I have a different association with Rotary. And
can we make you an honorary member of Rotary Club of Madras?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Kapil, would you like to propose, please?
And we will very most certainly accept it. But I would also like to thank Arnab for all his help with the COVID project that we have undertaken this year. And Republic TV, I would like to thank you so much for supporting us in that.
Thank you. It's our pleasure, privilege. Thank you.
President, we have a formal vote of thanks to be given by Bhaswar.
Yes.
So before we close.
Yes.
Can we,
Vote of thanks, please.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes. Clearly.
Thank you very much, Arnab. I think we missed your birthday by a month. It was the 7th of March, if I'm not mistaken. We've had a very scintillating afternoon. We always thought that whenever you were speaking, the news anchor was bigger than the news. But with the kind of vignettes that you have left for us, whether it was Prince or 2611, the Commonwealth scam, the Luton's media, and of course the heart-stopping moments with Sandeep Unnikrishnan, what has come across very clearly is the fact that your heart is in the right place. You have given us journalism and media to be proud of. And we definitely look forward to a long innings from you, and all the best to your global news network. Just one last, we could call this famous last words, and compared to Ganesh, I am far more privileged because I never thought that with Arnab I will have the last word, but I have that, so I'm very happy about it. One of the things I think, just as a last thought, brand Arnab is very big. I would like you to also concentrate on brand Republic in terms of building leaders, building someone as good as and efficient as you. And I think that's going to be a challenge going forward, especially when you are spreading yourself and getting into a lot of local areas. And in that context, given your closeness to Tamil Nadu, we hope to see Republic TN soon.
Yes, 100%. I really look forward. We are not backed by any big corporate groups, so we are not sitting on piles of money. But the moment we have some investment available, we want to enter the south, and Tamil Nadu is where we want to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone who is here, who's been here for this wonderful session.
I think it's wonderful that so many Rotarians have stayed back and watched this. I think that is truly indicative of how this program has actually been. Thank you so much, everyone. And this meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really listening to Arnab is a treat, you know. This is the third time that I am listening to you in person. I mean, you know, like other than your, of course, TV debates.
Yes.
But it's fantastic. I met you last time at Bombay Stock Exchange, you know,
Yes.
in Bombay, in Mumbai.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. Arnab.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. We love you.
Arnab, looking forward to the nation wants to know tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, only thing that format, you know, we should at least be able to hear something, you know, most of the
I
time
promise you, you'll
people keep debating, you know.
You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see improvement.
Thank you, Arnab.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Arnab.
Thanks
Best
a lot.
wishes.
I am Ashok Ajmera from Mumbai. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we would like to invite you in our club too.
We will come. We will come.
I have given you my number on the chat.
Okay, sir. I'll take it.
To you. Yes.
I'll take it from Gopal. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I want to know about Sushant Singh Rajput also.
Sir, we will follow it. It's not over. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Arnab. All the best for your global channel.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, Prasad.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Excellent, Arnab.
Excellent.
Bye.
Gopalji, Gopalji, that was a wonderful meeting. I think perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Kapil.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
One more of the outstanding meetings.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps
Maybe if I'm allowed,
We would-
this is
we would like
Dharmendra
to
here
invite him
from
in Bombay North.
RC, Mumbai.
perhaps
I'm
the
the
best.
past president of Rotary Club of Bombay North.
Welcome. Now, good to see you.
Ashok
Ashok.
Ajmera.
Yeah, so a lot of Mumbaikars are around, yeah?
Sorry,
Yeah.
not allow
All
you
you
to.
Mumbaikars need to be a little careful now.
Yes. We are very careful.
Okay.
15 minutes के बाद.
All right. I think.
Okay. You have given us
Thank
the
you,
virtual
Rotary Club
opportunity.
of
You know?
Madras.
Yep.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
COVID has given us this opportunity.
Yeah. Great.
Indeed.
And really thanks to the chair, to the president.
My people like Gopalji and the team that you see in the Rotary Club of Madras that does it.
Hey, Ijoma, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Ijoma.
Nairobi.
Love you.
Well done, Gopi.
Nigeria.
And thanks in advance.
From Nigeria.
I enjoyed myself.
Thank you,
Thank
Chariji.
And
Thank you.
of course,
Good day.
Gopal. Thank you. Well done. Excellent. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Prasad.
Keep safe.
Excellent
Bye.
meeting.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Gopalji.
Bye.